pull to Pulpit. Alaska strip club becomes a Baptist church. Fantasies on 5th, a strip club in Anchorage, Alaska, was plagued by wage issues and the Supreme Court of Alaska denying its liquor permit renewal and was forced to close. In October 2020, the Open Door Baptist Church opened in the same building as the strip club. Linda Dunegan, a real estate investor and daughter of a former exotic dancer, wanted to give new life to the building that used to house Fantasies on 5th. She took the opportunity to buy the building and then rented the first floor to Open Door Baptist Church. The church is now located between an adult sex shop and a marijuana dispensary. Pastor Kenny Mendez has a very positive outlook on his small but growing congregation. He is hoping that the church will help, quote, put some light right here.
Okay, I don't know why you think this was funny. This is very bad news. This is going the other way. We're supposed to turn churches into strip clubs, not strip clubs into churches.
Yeah, we had a whole conversation about this a few months ago about buying out a mosque and then turning it into a bar.
We're going backwards. Why is this happening? Are there not demand? Is there not enough demand out there for strip clubs?
In Anchorage, Alaska, there probably is. Just this specific one had financial difficulties and was forced to close. And then after it closed, this woman took advantage of the real estate, and this is what she decided to do with it.
I mean, I must give it to them. They're doing the Jesus-y thing of being what
amongst
right
the sinners.
What they perceive to be sinning. They're like, we're right in the middle of it. You can't get more Jesus-y than this. They must be very proud. Like, I don't think they see any issue with this. They're like, yeah, this is where we are needed the most. That's what they think.
Yeah, when I was talking to my dad about what we're going to cover on the news today, he's like, well, it sounds like the church is exactly where it needs to be. I'm like,
exactly.
Yeah. It was, I mean, this isn't a very serious story. It was just kind of funny to me. Like, I don't know. It's not often you hear about a strip club becoming a place of worship, let alone in between a pot shop and an adult bookstore.
Okay. Guys, everybody in the live chat, don't be sad. I'm pretty sure the results are like, this is just one example. Okay. I'm pretty sure in the United States, at least, things are in our favor, right? I'm almost sure that if you take the number of churches that are turning into strip clubs or
the other way around.
No.
Oh.
Churches that are turning to strip clubs are higher than strip clubs that are turning into churches, okay? I would make that bet, okay? So this is one example of a strip club turning into a church, but if you take account of churches turning into strip clubs, I think we're gonna come off with it. Okay. But this is like this is a good notice for us to be on the, we have to be mindful. Like we shouldn't be too complacent because we're getting so much good news about churches closing down. So we're like, okay, like we can sit back and we're like, they're losing, we're winning. But I think this is a good warning that we're not winning every battle. Okay. We have to keep our guards up. We have to like fight harder. Okay.
Keep our eye on winning the war, not every individual battle. Yeah.
But we needed this warning just so that we know that it's not an easy fight. Okay. Yeah.
I thought it was really interesting. The woman who is this investor who then rented out this part of the property to the church has an interesting story herself. And I thought it was an interesting kind of plot twist that her mom, after she was divorced and had to support her family, was a waitress who was also a dancer around Anchorage. And it's unknown if her mom ever danced at this specific place, Fantasies on 5th. That could not be confirmed. But part of her story that I thought was interesting was basically she got into the church because basically people were providing her with resources that she wasn't getting elsewhere as a young child who needed support. And I don't know, on a different note, I thought that was like very interesting to think about how, as people who are godless, people who are, secular and atheists, like, that is a major opening for people to welcome religiosity into their life, the community and the support that they get from community that they might not be getting from state services or a secular community. And I think that's something that the atheist community at large could do a better job organizing around.
Yeah, or also the government, right? I think it's when religions take advantage of, what the government is supposed to be doing and not doing, and they just come and fill in the gap as a way to promote Jeebus, right? So, and the solution is not to discourage churches from doing that, because some people are benefiting from that. The solution is to, the government not having to rely on, churches to provide the services that the government is supposed to be there for, right? So this is a sign of a government not doing its job, right?
Yeah. I thought, Chad has a hilarious comment. Chad Davis is saying, take churches away and you will find peace. Take strip clubs away and you will find war.
It's not that simple, but that's funny. Yeah. Interesting.
I kind of want to go check out this church in Anchorage now. I want to see what it's like, because I don't know. I think it's kind of the setup of being in between these very adult, businesses would be a little bit of like, I'm just thinking about my own family. Like, that would be a conflict in my family's interest of attending a church like that if I was a child, because you have to bring your child through that environment to get to the church, and that would not be something my family would have been a fan of at that time.
I don't think a church like that is meant to have people who are not already there, people like to go through this, valley of temptation to get into the church. Like, I don't think it's meant for that kind of people who are not exposed to that all of a sudden be like, wait, we have to go where? Right? I think it's meant to be for people who are already there to be try to save them, and like, hey, come here for a sandwich and also hear about Jesus, or like, I think like there might be a whole bunch of like homeless people or people who don't have a community or don't have like anybody to talk to, that might actually very much in that world to be like, yeah, this is what we needed, right? Like, we need, like, we feel like we're working and we're like, everything is about like, there's nobody that asks us, how are you today? Maybe that church right there all of a sudden feels like, okay, this is
someone
the
cares.
emotional whole, that exactly.
That's like, literally the story of this real estate investor. Her family started attending a church in the area ostensibly for the free food.
Right. So here's the thing: a lot of atheists sometimes deny the fact that some of these, churches or mosques or whatever religious, that they're actually filling in a gap that actually was needed. Somebody needed to come there. Like, the solution shouldn't be like, oh, this church shouldn't be there. This is because they are actually providing something that there's a demand for. Okay.
Yeah.
The solution is not to just cut that off. The solution is to compete with that and provide something better without the religious mumbo jumbo. Right.
Yeah. Like,
but it's hard to compete with them. Yeah. It's hard to compete with organizations that have
a 2,000-year advantage.
Well, I mean, also tax advantage. I understand that charities all have like tax advantages, but when it comes to religious organizations, it's much easier for them to comply, because the requirements for them to get that tax advantage is lower than the other 501(c)s in the United States, right? So it's hard to compete with that because they have a major advantage, both because of the, again, 2,000-year brand recognition that they have, but also because of the government advantages that are given to them, right? Yeah. But you were going to say something?
Oh, no, that was it. That was the end of my thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah. By the way, guys, when it comes to tax privileges, they have to understand. Like, people shouldn't think like, oh, churches, why are they getting tax advantages? They should be taxed. Well, I mean, any 501c in the United States doesn't pay tax. It's not just religious institution. The unfairness is not that they don't pay taxes. The unfairness is that they don't have to abide by the rules that other 501cs have to abide by to get those tax advantages. That's where the unfairness comes in.
Yeah. Well, and
Anyways.
it's also just a mess because it turns the IRS into a theological body in a way.
Yes, like,
which
is
has
your
become a
deity an
nightmare
actual god or not a god? Like, the IRS has to decide the nature of your deity.
No, literally just do a little Google deep dive, not even deep dive, into how the Church of Scientology got their IRS, exemption status. It's a nightmare. Yeah. It's a nightmare. Hey guys, if you're a fan of Blasphemy and Sexy Callie, like me, then you need to be sure to subscribe to our newsletter, link in the description below. Because if you subscribe, we will send you a free copy of our Blasphemous Art ebook. And let me tell you, it is the tastiest blasphemy that you can find anywhere available today. And we are so generous with our blasphemy that we continue to send you more blasphemy every week. So make sure to subscribe, link in the description below.